There comes a time in everyone's life when they realize that success is not only about skills, degrees, or money, but about the way they carry themselves. Your personality is the first thing people notice, and your confidence is the bridge that takes you from who you are today to who you can truly become. Imagine walking into a room and without saying a single word, people feel your presence, your energy, your strength. That power is not a gift, it's built. And today, you will learn exactly how to build it. So let's uncover 6 powerful ways to improve your personality and confidence, step by step. Confidence is not born in the spotlight. It is not gifted by applause, and it is not stitched into the clothes you wear. Confidence begins in silence, in the stillness where you truly meet yourself. It is in those quiet, often uncomfortable moments when you begin to uncover who you really are. Too many of us run from that silence. We distract ourselves, copy others, imitate their style, borrow their voice, rehearse their gestures, and in the process, we forget the most magnetic truth of all, that the greatest strength a person can ever carry is authenticity. The world does not need another imitation. It needs you. When you look at the lives of people who moved nations, who shaped history, you begin to notice something remarkable. They were not necessarily the strongest, the richest, or the most talented. Their power came from their ability to live unapologetically aligned with who they were. Consider a man who stood against one of the greatest empires of his time. He did not wear fine suits, he did not command armies, and he did not carry wealth. He walked simply, spoke softly, and yet his clarity of self shook the foundations of power. Why? Because he knew his values, his purpose, and he lived them with unwavering consistency. That kind of authenticity is unforgettable. The truth is, without self-awareness, you will always feel like a stranger in your own life. You will walk into rooms and feel the need to perform. You will measure yourself against others, trying to match their rhythm, their confidence, their presence. And yet, no matter how perfectly you try to imitate, something will always feel missing, because you cannot be fully alive while living someone else's script. You cannot discover your true confidence by wearing another person's mask. People may applaud the performance for a moment, but deep down they can sense when the energy is forced, when the soul is hidden. Ask yourself, who am I really? What do I believe when no one is pressuring me to conform? What principles would I defend, even if it cost me everything? These questions may be uncomfortable, but they are the doorway to freedom. When you start answering them honestly, layer by layer, you begin to see yourself clearly. And the clearer you see yourself, the less approval you need from others. Think of a tree. A tree with shallow roots may grow tall, but the first strong wind will send it crashing to the ground. A tree with deep roots, however, stands firm through every storm. Self-awareness is the depth of your roots. When you cultivate it, no insult can shake you, no rejection can break you, no comparison can steal your worth. Because you no longer live from the surface, you live from the core. Practical steps matter here. Observe yourself without judgment. Notice the patterns of your reactions. When someone criticizes you, do you become defensive? When life gets hard, do you give up easily or push forward? When you succeed, do you celebrate or do you immediately downplay it? These small reflections build clarity. Write them down. Be honest with yourself. Self-awareness is not about perfection, it is about truth. And when you begin to live in truth, confidence flows naturally, not as an act, but as a state of being. Remember, the world will always try to tell you who to be. Social media will sell you someone else's version of beauty. Society will whisper its definition of success. Friends, family, even strangers will offer their opinions. And if you are not rooted in self-awareness, you will bend under the weight of all those voices. But when you know yourself, when you honor your values, when you walk in alignment with your own truth, you no longer chase validation, you become validation. Your presence speaks before your words ever do. This is the art of self-awareness, the foundation upon which unshakable confidence is built. It is not loud, it does not boast, but it carries a quiet strength that moves hearts, commands respect, and leaves a mark on the world that no imitation ever could. Your words are far more powerful than you realize. With a single sentence, you can lift someone's spirit, heal a broken heart, or inspire a new beginning. And with the same tongue, you can also wound, divide, and create walls that take years to break down. That is why the way you communicate is the mirror of your personality, the expression of your inner confidence. You may have wisdom, talent, or great ambition, but if you cannot express yourself with clarity and conviction, the world will never know the depth of who you are. Think about it. How many opportunities in life are lost, not because someone lacked ability, but because they could not communicate it? A job interview where the answers felt uncertain. A conversation where courage was needed, but silence took its place. A relationship where words of love were withheld and the distance grew wider. Communication is not just about speaking, it is about connecting. It is the bridge between your inner world and the hearts of those around you. Look at those who move people on a global scale. They are not always the smartest or the wealthiest, but they carry a gift, the ability to connect through words. Their voices hold weight because their words carry clarity. They do not bury meaning under noise. They do not speak to impress, but to reach. And that is the difference. Communication that transforms does not come from a desire to look clever. It comes from the desire to be understood. But good communication is not about saying more. It is about saying what matters. A person who fills every silence with endless chatter may think they are showing confidence, but often they are showing insecurity. True presence is in speaking slowly, with purpose, letting each word breathe. A calm voice with conviction commands more respect than 1,000 hurried sentences. When you pause before you speak, when you choose your words with care, people feel it. They lean in, they listen, and in that moment, your personality shines brighter than any performance ever could. And yet, the most underrated part of communication is not speaking. It is listening. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, the rarest gift you can give someone is your full attention. Think of the last time someone truly listened to you, without interrupting, without waiting to respond, but just listening. Didn't it make you feel valued? Didn't it leave you with a sense of respect for that person? When you listen deeply, you are not only showing care, you are elevating yourself. People remember how you make them feel, and nothing makes a person feel more important than being truly heard. Start small. Look into people's eyes when they speak, not with a cold stare, but with warmth that says, "I'm here with you." Speak slowly, with a steady voice, as if each word carries meaning, because it does. Ask questions that show genuine interest, not questions that fill silence. And above all, listen, not just to words, but to tone, to emotion, to what is left unsaid. These small habits transform conversations into connections, and connections into trust. Personality is not measured by how loud you speak, but by how deeply you touch others with your presence. Confidence is not about dominating a room with your voice, but about making every person in that room feel seen, heard, and understood. When you learn to communicate with clarity, kindness, and conviction, you are not just speaking, you are shaping experiences. You are building bridges that people want to walk across. And when you do that, your words outlive the moment. They echo in hearts, they inspire actions, and they leave behind an impression that no silence ever could. Whether we like it or not, the way we present ourselves speaks before our voice ever does. Long before a word leaves our lips, people are already reading our body language, noticing our posture, sensing our energy, and forming an impression of who we are. Studies confirm that within just 7 seconds of meeting someone, their mind begins shaping a story about us. And in those few seconds, they are not yet aware of our talents, our dreams, or our character. They see only what we choose to show them through our physical presence. That is why taking care of it matters, not out of vanity, not out of shallow pride, but out of self-respect. Think about the last time you saw someone walk into a room with slouched shoulders, eyes cast down, clothes untidy. Before they even spoke, what came to mind? Perhaps that they lacked confidence, perhaps that they didn't care enough about themselves or the moment. Now think of someone who entered with upright posture, a calm expression, neatly dressed, not extravagant, but intentional. Immediately you feel drawn to listen, to take them seriously. This is the silent power of presence. It either builds a bridge of respect or creates an invisible wall of dismissal. We must understand, though, that presence is not about looking like a movie star or chasing perfection. True presence has nothing to do with being the most beautiful or the most stylish in the room. It is about showing through small details that you value yourself. Cleanliness, neatness, grooming, posture. These are not luxuries, they are signals. They signal that you are aware, that you care, and that you respect both yourself and the people you meet. Posture alone can change how others see you and how you see yourself. When you slouch, your body communicates defeat, insecurity, or fatigue. But when you stand tall, shoulders back, chin slightly raised, you communicate readiness, confidence, and openness. The fascinating thing is, this shift doesn't just change how people perceive you, it changes how you feel inside. Studies in psychology show that posture influences mood. Standing tall can literally make you feel stronger, calmer, and more confident. Your body shapes your mind, and your mind shapes your body. Clothing, too, has a subtle yet undeniable effect. The point is not to wear the most expensive brands or follow every fashion trend. It is to choose clothes that are clean, well-fitted, and appropriate for the setting. When you dress in a way that makes you feel good, you walk differently, you move with assurance, you are no longer distracted by self-consciousness, and that freedom allows your personality to shine. Think of it as armor, not to hide who you are, but to protect and highlight the best of who you are. Now consider this in practical terms. Imagine walking into a job interview in wrinkled clothes, with uncombed hair, dragging your feet. Before you have even spoken about your skills, you have spoken through your presence, and the story it told was careless. Now imagine walking into the same room, dressed neatly, shoulders upright, eyes forward, every step steady. Before a single word, you've already communicated confidence, responsibility, and respect. Which version would you hire? Which version would you trust? Caring for your physical presence is not about impressing others. It is about honoring yourself. It is the outer reflection of your inner state. If you constantly neglect it, you are unconsciously telling yourself and the world that you are not worthy of attention. But when you nurture it, when you carry yourself with dignity, you remind yourself daily that you matter. And when you believe you matter, the world begins to respond accordingly. Confidence radiates most powerfully when it is both felt and seen. When your inner clarity aligns with your outer presence, people don't just hear your words, they feel your energy. They sense the quiet strength in your posture, the care in your appearance, and the respect in your demeanor. That alignment between who you are inside and how you carry yourself outside creates a personality that commands attention without demanding it. And that is the kind of presence that lingers long after you've left the room. Confidence is not built in the moments when life feels easy and safe. It is not born when you are comfortable, relaxed, and untouched by challenge. Confidence is forged in the fire of discomfort. It grows in the places where fear whispers that you cannot go further, yet you take another step anyway. Think back to when you first learned to ride a bicycle. At first, it felt impossible. Your hands trembled on the handlebars, your body stiff with fear, your mind certain that you would fall. And of course, you did fall. Maybe once, maybe several times, but each time you stood back up, each time you tried again, the fear lost a little of its power. What once seemed impossible became second nature. That is how life works. Discomfort is the teacher, and persistence is the lesson. Too often, people wait for confidence to appear before they act. They think, when I feel confident, I'll speak in front of the crowd. When I feel confident, I'll ask for the promotion. When I feel confident, I'll chase the dream. But confidence doesn't come first. Action does. You step into discomfort, you face the unknown, and only then does confidence grow. Just like muscles strengthen through resistance, your confidence strengthens through challenge. Without discomfort, there is no growth. Consider the story of a struggling writer sitting in small cafes, rejected again and again by publishers. Each letter that arrived carried the weight of disappointment, a reminder that her dream seemed out of reach. Rejection is uncomfortable. It attacks your self-belief. It makes you question your worth. It tempts you to give up. And yet, she persisted, page by page, manuscript after manuscript, until one day her story found a home. That writer was J.K. Rowling, and the world she created now lives in the hearts of millions. Imagine if she had chosen comfort instead of courage. Imagine if she had let rejection silence her. Her persistence through discomfort is what made her success possible. The truth is, fear never fully disappears. The greatest speakers still feel their hearts race before stepping on stage. The most successful leaders still feel uncertain before making decisions. The difference is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to move forward in spite of it. Confidence is not, I am never afraid. Confidence is, I am afraid, but I will do it anyway. Each time you step through that discomfort, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your fear. Think of the small moments in your own life where discomfort shaped you. The first time you walked into a new classroom, the first time you started a new job, the first time you had to introduce yourself to strangers. It wasn't easy, but you got through it, and afterward, you were different, more capable, more resilient. That is the magic of discomfort. It stretches you, expands you, and shows you a version of yourself you didn't know existed. If you want to grow, make discomfort your companion. Say yes to opportunities that scare you. Speak up when your instinct is to stay silent. Try something new even when you fear failure. Every time you do, you expand your comfort zone. What once felt impossible becomes ordinary, and then the next challenge calls you higher. This cycle never ends because growth never ends. Confidence is not built in avoiding fear, but in dancing with it. It is in those trembling moments, those uncertain steps, that you create the strength to stand taller tomorrow. So do not run from discomfort. Step into it, embrace it, and let it shape you. For it is there, in the soil of discomfort, that the seeds of true confidence take root and bloom. Personality is not only reflected in the way you dress or the eloquence of your words, it lives in something deeper, in the way you make others feel when they are in your presence. Long after conversations fade, people rarely recall every detail of what you said, but they always remember the energy you left behind. Did you inspire calm, or did you spread chaos? Did you uplift, or did you wound? This is where emotional intelligence becomes the defining strength of a truly confident personality. Emotional intelligence is the art of understanding and managing not only your own emotions, but also sensing and respecting the emotions of others. Think of a leader standing before a team during a crisis. One leader, overcome by fear, panics openly, snapping at others, making rash decisions, letting stress dictate their every move. Another leader, equally aware of the danger, takes a deep breath, steadies their voice, and reassures the team that solutions will be found. The facts of the crisis remain the same, but the impact is entirely different. Which leader would you trust? Which leader would you respect? The answer is obvious, because we are drawn to those who can remain centered even when the world around them is unstable. Yet, emotional intelligence is not only about leadership. It shows itself in the smallest daily interactions. Imagine coming home after a difficult day, carrying stress on your shoulders. You share a frustration with a friend, and they dismiss it with impatience, or worse, respond with anger of their own. Now imagine instead that they pause, listen, and say, "I understand, that must have been hard for you." In that simple moment of empathy, a weight is lifted. You feel seen. You feel valued. That is emotional intelligence in action. It doesn't take grand gestures. It takes awareness, restraint, and compassion. To cultivate it, you must first master the pause. In moments of anger, the natural instinct is to react immediately, to fire back a harsh word, to defend, to prove a point. But the pause is power. In that space between stimulus and response lies the choice that defines your character. When you pause, you regain control over your emotions instead of being controlled by them. Anger loses its grip, fear loosens its hold, and clarity begins to rise. With practice, you begin to notice the patterns of your emotions. You catch yourself before the explosion, and instead of regret, you choose wisdom. Empathy is another pillar of emotional intelligence. To place yourself in someone else's shoes, to see the world from their perspective, even briefly, is to open the door to connection. Think of the most cherished relationships in your life. Are they not built on the feeling of being understood? The truth is, people are hungry not for perfection, but for understanding. And when you become a person who offers that, your presence becomes unforgettable. Emotional intelligence also requires humility. The recognition that you do not always need to win the argument, that sometimes peace is more valuable than being right. It means knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to comfort instead of correct, when to encourage instead of criticize. These are choices that shape not just how others see you, but how they feel about themselves when they are with you. Your personality gains strength not from how much attention you command, but from how much light you bring into others' lives. Your confidence deepens not when you overpower emotions, but when you learn to navigate them with grace. To control anger instead of letting anger control you, to offer calm when others are drowning in fear, to give understanding when judgment would be easier, these are the qualities that turn ordinary interactions into lasting impressions. When you cultivate emotional intelligence, you become more than someone who looks good or speaks well. You become a person whose presence itself is a source of comfort and inspiration. People may forget the exact words you spoke, but they will carry the warmth, the calm, and the strength you gave them. And that is the kind of personality that does not fade, but lives on in the hearts of others long after the moment has passed. Confidence is not something you wake up with one morning, as if it were gifted to you overnight. It is something you build, piece by piece, moment by moment, like a structure that grows stronger with every brick you lay. Too many people wait for one grand breakthrough to suddenly feel powerful. They imagine that confidence will appear the day they land the dream job, earn the degree, or achieve the impossible. But waiting for a single defining victory is the surest way to remain stuck in hesitation. Real confidence does not arrive in one moment. It is cultivated through the steady accumulation of small wins. Think of confidence like a muscle. No athlete walks into a gym and lifts the heaviest weight on the first day. Muscles grow through repetition, through resistance, through steady practice. And just like that, self-belief grows when you consistently prove to yourself in small ways that you are capable. Finish reading a book you started. Show up at the gym 3 times a week. Speak up in a meeting where you usually remain silent. These may seem insignificant in isolation, but each one sends a powerful message to your mind. I can do this. I am capable. And when the mind begins to believe, the body and spirit follow. Look at the world of sports. The champions we admire today, breaking records and standing on podiums, did not begin at that level. They trained daily, hitting small targets, an extra lap, a second shaved off their time, one more repetition, one more practice session. Over years, those small victories stacked upon each other, creating unshakable self-belief. The world sees the medal, the trophy, the world record. What they don't see are the thousands of small wins that made that moment possible. This principle applies to every area of life. If you want to build confidence in speaking, start by sharing your thoughts in a small group. If you want to grow stronger in discipline, begin by keeping one simple promise to yourself each morning, like making your bed or drinking water before checking your phone. If you want to develop courage, begin by saying no in one small situation where you normally give in. Each act, however small, is a declaration to yourself. I keep my word. I am stronger than my excuses. I am capable of more. The beauty of small wins is that they create momentum. Success, no matter how small, creates energy, and energy fuels action. Imagine a wheel that is hard to push at first. It takes effort, strain, persistence, but once it starts moving, it becomes easier with each turn. Your confidence works the same way. At first, it feels heavy. Doubt whispers loudly, but every small win adds force, and soon the momentum of belief carries you forward. What holds most people back is the obsession with perfection. They dismiss small wins, thinking, this doesn't matter, it's too small. But nothing is too small. Every win is a seed. Plant enough seeds, and you will one day walk through a forest of confidence so deep, nothing can uproot you. The quiet truth is this: confidence does not always roar. Sometimes it begins in whispers, like showing up when you said you would, finishing what you started, keeping promises only you will ever notice. Over time, those whispers grow louder until one day you realize that your self-belief is no longer fragile. It is steady, it is calm, it is unshakable. So ask yourself right now, what small win can I achieve today? Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Because the life you want, the confidence you seek, is not hidden in a distant mountain of success. It is built in the small steps you choose to take over and over again. Stack those wins, and soon you will carry yourself differently, not with arrogance, but with the quiet strength of someone who knows. I have proven to myself again and again that I can rise. Improving your personality and confidence is not about changing who you are. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Start with self-awareness, communicate with purpose, carry yourself with pride, embrace discomfort, master emotional intelligence, and build small victories daily. Remember, people may forget your words, but they will never forget the energy you bring into their lives. And that energy comes from a personality shaped by confidence and authenticity. So today, don't just walk into the world, own your presence in it.